Hello there! I'm so glad you decided to click on this video. You're not going to regret it. Welcome to the channel. So sit back, relax, do your homework, and keep this tab in the background. This is a story you'll remember, and be sure to share it with all your friends so that the YouTube algorithm can actually see that I exist. So once again, I welcome you to the channel, and this is Knelt, a spelling bee story. So you're probably going to need some context. Some of you might not even know what a spelling bee is. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how my school's spelling bee worked, and not how other schools may have potentially done it. I was a 4th grader when this happened. Smart, socially awkward, focused completely on schoolwork, and a bit of a crybaby. Yep, I was an emotional wreck. But because I was so focused on school, that means I got a knack for spelling, and every year the students in my class would nominate me as the smartest kid, even though that probably wasn't even true. Every year, my school would test all the students from 4th and 5th grade, asking them how to spell words, and from each class, the last 2 standing would go on to the spelling bee, where the whole school would sit in the auditorium and watch a bunch of nerds sweat their entire body weight onto the floor to win a diploma and an entrance to compete with the best students from the county. Well, I was easily able to talk my way into the spot for the school spelling bee. With my accomplishment, I was given a stack of papers stapled together with any possible words that could be asked of you during the competition. And man, I studied those papers with my life. Every day after school, my routine would consist of eating a snack, playing Minecraft for a bit, and asking my brother to read all of the confusing words as I effortlessly repeated their spelling. He had already won the spelling bee when he was in 5th grade, but let's just say we're not going to talk about his embarrassing failure in the county spelling bee. Every word I had already heard before, and studying with my friends as they complimented me for being so smart helped me boost my confidence and self-esteem. The competition arrived almost as soon as it was announced, and I was ready. On that day of April, me and around 12 of the other spelling bee students sat down on rickety old chairs from the music room as the principal of our school walked up to a podium near one of my friends and did her whole "I'm so proud" spiel and give them a round of applause. The librarian who I'd studied with gave me a wink, and the spelling bee began. It suddenly dawned on me what the actual honk I was doing. The school was watching me. What would I do in the face of failure? Students began to spell words effortlessly. This was not okay. Suddenly, I got called. "Emily, spell ghost," one of the judges said. I pulled out my palm and spelled out ghost with my nail. G-O-S-T, I remarked to the judges, and it was right. I was safe from elimination. My friend from my class was next, and she got out for spelling the wrong kind of axis. Well, at least it wasn't the first one out. And with that, all the other students were called, and the first round was over. Next round! Kids were spelling left and right, their words bouncing off the walls. "Emily," a judge boomed, "spell knelt." I stared, dumbfounded. What did she mean, knelt? What does knelt even mean? Was that like knitting or something? I asked the judges for dictionary definitions, and even though the word was in a contextual setting for me, none of it made sense to me. Now, you have to understand that I grew up in a Catholic family, but it was also Polish. So even though kneeling on the ground was a huge part of Christianity, everything I knew about my religion was in Polish. So if I wanted to say, "She knelt on the ground," I would actually say, "Ona klęknęła na podłodze." And so my kid brain thought kneeling in English was referred to as clanking. But I didn't know about knelt. So to get back to the story, here's what I said. N-E-L-T? I told them that, word for word. I noticed my friend from the 5th grade in the crowd, watching with disappointment, but I wasn't surprised. I was forlorn, but not at all surprised. "I'm sorry, Emily, but that is incorrect. Now sit down. You are out." I sat down in the chair, with only one other person out. I couldn't help but thinking of myself as the second stupidest person in the school. And then, behind my eyes, I felt water. Crybaby was coming. Sure enough, my gut was not wrong. I began to bawl my eyes out in front of the school. I couldn't help it. I tried to hold it in until I was backstage, but the tears were already barreling down my cheeks. So while others were trying to spell jaguar, I think I got a lot of people out, and the audience would not stop laughing, and I felt like an idiot for even trying the spelling bee. To make matters worse, only 2 people were left, a 4th and a 5th grader. Who would win? For privacy reasons, I'm not going to refer to this 4th grader by his real name. Instead, I'll refer to him as Dill, because every time I saw this boy, Dill made me feel more sour than a pickle, and he often was nice to me, but he would dislike the games I spent hours making on Roblox. Dill and the 5th grader were having a spell-off, and I was there to cry in the background, the best music you could have to accompany the art of vengeance in a spelling bee. As the 5th grader gets a question wrong, all Dill has to do to win is spell molten, like molten lava. I'll never forget the inflections in his voice as he spelled that word, but as soon as he was finished, Dill was handed over a diploma and an array of cheers from the crowd. I was happy for Dill, I guess, but only if I knew that I could do better, I would have gotten that clapping all towards me. I guess I learned something because I knelt on the ground and knew how to say I did that in English, but my most embarrassing moment was just coming. I belted out into absolute baby mode and cried on stage. It was a hilarious moment for the students, but one I won't quite forget. The librarian caressed me and told me things like, "Oh, you're lucky enough to get in this thing in the first place," and stuff like that. "You'll get another chance next year, dearie," she said. But I knew she was wrong. I looked in her eyes and said, "You're wrong." She stared at me in shock, and as I'm older now, I see why. I think I insulted her pretty bad, but I didn't care. I stared back. You want to know why? It's 'cause I'm moving away, baby! So yeah, there you have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. New animation coming out soon. Just you wait. Just you wait. Alexander Hamilton, out of here.